My guest is Klaus Gheri, VP of Network Security at Barracuda. Welcome, Klaus.
Thanks, Richard, for having me over today.
So Barracuda is a network security provider, fundamentally.
Amongst other things, yeah.
You got storage as well, and anti-spam. And
Many things,
yeah.
3 things in the main: content security business, the traditional heritage business of Barracuda, network security, that's my domain,
right.
And the storage portfolio, including message archiving.
Okay. Describe your network security portfolio.
Well, that's in the main stuff around next generation firewalls, SSL, VPN, so the networking, the traditional networking side of things. We've been doing this as Barracuda for 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So I came in 2009 as part of an acquisition, having had my own company in Europe, public company, and have been responsible for this part of the portfolio ever since.
Okay. And that portfolio services mainly enterprise?
You know, it's all sorts of things. Traditional, our heritage, our pedigree is actually more, I would say, upper market, enterprise type deployments. But after having become part of Barracuda, it's more like the mid-market. So it's everything, I would say, from a 100-person company to several thousand people companies. It's across the entire board.
And what sets apart your enterprise network security products?
I would say a lot of things. Most recently, I mean, there's been a shift in the way, like how organizations architecture their networks. I mean, we see the large adoption of software as a service. We see a move to public cloud. So traditionally, where we come from, we've always brought an additional value to the table. It's you do all the security inspection part that you would expect to get from out of a firewall. That's these days on the next gen side, it's application control, of course. You have the user awareness, the IPS, you inspect SSL, break it up, look inside. Advanced threat, big topic now. But beyond that, once you know what's in the packet, you know, you're done with the filtering, what's key to the organization is actually it's the net traffic that is left. Now, we always try to find, I would say, creative ways to get the traffic in the best possible way from A to B using path selection. You could have multiple physical paths on the network. Prioritization, so what is more important to the organization, what is less important, what needs to be tolerated. And that adds net value. And of course, if you get more dispersed and distributed, you have more components, and the central management, or like the policy management and keeping that in sync across multiple units is a big challenge for many organizations, and this is what we do.
Yeah,
best.
It sounds like a network control plane for the enterprise.
So to speak, but with a twist and added value.
Right. Does does Barracuda have a focus or a market concentration, either in the U.S. or Europe?
I would say we're fairly evenly balanced for historical reasons. I would say roughly 60% of my business comes still out of Europe, mainland Europe, and then about 30% comes out of the U.S., and then the rest is all across like the globe. It's different, however, with regards to, I would say, the latest addition to our portfolio, that is our deployments in public cloud. Here it's mainly in those geographies that are early adopters. That will be the US, that will be the UK. Benelux, we see some of this coming out of Japan, so it's very different here.
So you mentioned software-defined networking, and usually people start talking to me about microsegmentation at that point.
Yeah, that's something we do too.
Yeah. In the cloud?
Also in the cloud, like so far we're probably the most popular next-gen firewall on Microsoft Azure. Also breaking out from our traditional, I would say, target audience. I mean, this is typically more upmarket as these organizations are early adopters of public cloud. People would just want to replicate what they do on-prem. They want to do segmentation. Right. That's the main, like as they lift and shift. That's one of the main demands. Then they want to do outbound control. People can log into cloud and then access the internet. So typically that's a typical firewall game. And then you have the connectivity piece, because you want to make sure like you can always get to cloud from either on the road or like from your on-prem locations.
When I talk to the pure play cloud providers, they say, oh, we don't need network security anymore because we're going to do it all on the endpoint. How do you address that?
There's certainly some things you can do well at the endpoint. I think it's more going towards an ecosystem. You have some parts that you can find out about easily on the endpoint. It might be hard in the data path. You know, you have to break up. You don't get all the information. It becomes overly complicated. But if you can ingest the information that comes from the forensics and analysis at the endpoint end into the networking equipment, then you have a good ecosystem. I think that's the way to go.
Got it. So what's the latest product enhancements that you're talking about?
Tomorrow, as we speak, there will be a press release. So I've brought a sample with me. This is the first time on camera. That's what we call the Secure Connector 1 appliance. So that's purpose-built. Took us about 80 months to design from the ground up. So that's the Secure Connector 1 connectivity appliance that connects remote sites to a public cloud or on-prem based data center. It comes with an integrated access point, so the aerial is on the inside. Has two Ethernet ports, so typically usage will be one LAN side, one WAN side, but you can use them either way. Provides network services. That means you get DHCP and NTP from it. Other than that, it can be hooked up to a 3G modem through a USB connector, so that's fairly straightforward too. And on the backside, and this is some of the little things that matter, you see, it's hard to see here, but you can see that kind of area here. There's a metal plate inside. We have a magnetic plate, pretty much like a mouse pad, that you can actually put on something metal and then put the box on top. And this way, you can actually mount it, like say, at the backside of an ATM. It's the small little things that when you talk machine connectivity, you have to think about. It's not always an easy way to fixate things to machine equipment. Okay, so that's just an added benefit. So it's purpose-built, designed from the ground up for what it's meant to do, and it's a cool addition to our portfolio. And I think we see a lot of demand out in the market. We've been talking to lots of organizations, like starting from guys doing managed fridges, cooling systems, wind power plants, and typically the need for these types of devices is actually in the hundreds and thousands. So it's a management game above.
I'm sure all the fiber hubs in my neighborhood all have some connectivity to something for out-of-band control.
Yeah, I was at a customer meeting about 10 days ago in Belgium. And a guy came up from the back and said, we do building surveillance. You know, we have cameras, we have alarm systems. What was the price point again? Okay, we just always throw it in. It doesn't matter, it's immaterial, but we need stable communication back to where we monitor the equipment, where the video feed goes, and that's a perfect solution.
So is it a bridge?
It's not a bridge. It routes normally.
Okay.
It has an access point in there as too, so you could also use it in a retail outlet. You could even provide access to the internet to your customers, but you can't mix and mingle. That means if you have like Wi-Fi to internet, that's fine, and everything else goes into a tunnel back to the data center. That you can do, but we don't allow, since it does not provide full security inspection, we would not recommend to use it like a firewall.
Sure, yep. Pull the data back where you've got the big investment in infrastructure
and the controls,
and the controls, That's exciting.
Yeah.
Especially in this world of talking about industrial controls.
Oh, yeah, that's the driver.
Yeah. So power plants and switching station and transmission and.
Yeah, there's a couple of facets to the story. I mean, this is basically just, I would say, stage one. It's not ruggedized. You would have people asking for a ruggedized chassis, but it makes it a bit more expensive. And then you have typical deployments of the regular product in industrial environments. And here it's more like the focus is more on analyzing industrial protocols, you know, filtering for exploits on the IPS side, detecting those protocols. But that's just more of the same, just in a different context. That's different from the use case.
And no PoE?
That would be doable. But of course, the electrical characteristics would be different. You need a bigger power supply, power brick, and then it will be doable. But it may come. We're just thinking about doing this with the regular appliances.
Right. Well, that's exciting. It'll be fun to see.
Yeah.
And then for the larger enterprise data center security, any enhancements coming up there?
Yeah, we innovated for the data center people already last year. So we added a couple of things. We added bigger appliances to actually allow for their increased bandwidth requirements. That was one thing. We added more in-depth security controls, so it's not either connectivity or security; it's always both. Advanced threat detection, so we launched that last year, and we kept building it out to cover more protocols, just starting with web-based traffic, then carrying over to email protocols, and then planning.
So is that a sandboxing?
That is a sandbox in the cloud, and I think we took a different route from other vendors. I don't believe personally in dedicated appliances.
Yep. And I think that's the trend is going to go that way, right? Because semantics. Talk about
and
that way.
You need the protection at multiple locations. So how would you do that with a dedicated box? So go for cloud service.
Yep. And you apply a lot more analysis in the cloud, and of course that's where the researchers are.
Exactly.
Too, so,
Exactly.
Yeah. All very exciting. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much, Klaus. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Richard.